Alright my friends, welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew and today I want to do my 1 week review of the 4080 Super. So, if you guys like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now I still have the card in the PC, I haven't taken it out to do any showing it off or anything like that. But I want to give you my honest, real opinion about the 4080 Super. Since buying this card, this is the highest end NVIDIA GPU I have bought to date, and this is probably the most expensive GPU I have bought to date. Now I bought the Gigabyte model, which is $1099 is the MSRP. That was the retail price that I picked this up over at Best Buy for. Came out to like $1171 or something after tax. Now I want to get into this and help you decide if this is the right decision for you. So, this card comes with 16 gigs of VRAM. It is running on a 256-bit bus. The 16 gigs of VRAM are DDR6X memory, so it is definitely faster. The overall spec sheet of this card is actually pretty dang good. There's no way. It's the second best card in the NVIDIA stack for the 4000 series. It does have access to frame generation. It has access to DLSS 3.5. It has access to ray reconstruction. Obviously you get the ray tracing performance and everything out of this card. Now the other card that I had up until today, I sold the 4070 Super, and I've tried the 4070, just the vanilla 4070 out of the 4000s or out of the 40 series cards. I was really impressed with the 4070 Super. I actually bought a Founders Edition of that card. It absolutely was beautiful, looked incredible. And then the regular 4070, wasn't super impressed with that card, but it did do a pretty dang good job. Now, there's some things that I want to talk to you about to kind of help you decide if an NVIDIA, like the 4080, the 4080 Super is going to be good for you. Now, I've put this thing through my torture test. A lot of other reviewers test at 4K and stuff like that. I utilize DSR so that I can push my resolution even higher. So I've tested resolutions like 6K, I've tested 8K. When I test those resolutions, I do utilize DLSS. I think it's only fair if I'm trying to push them higher resolutions and then super sample back down to a 1440p or 4K display. I do feel like it is fair to utilize those. The out-of-box speed, even testing those at I tested, Alan Wake 2 at 8K. That came in at about 20 frames a second, which is about the same performance you would get if you turn on path tracing, ray tracing, all of that stuff. Just know that those tests that I run on these cards, I run those tests so that we can look at longevity, how long the card's gonna last, exactly what you can do. Because in my opinion, if you can push a card to 5K, to 6K, to 8K, in my opinion, if on some of these newer games, if you can get those to a playable experience utilizing DLSS or frame gen or any of those other things, the other bells and whistles they come with, your NVIDIA Lovelace technology or future cards, stuff like that, that gives me a really good sense of, hey man, this card might actually last a while if you can get some of them last gen PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 games. You get those on here, you got them running at like 8K resolution, down sampling or super sampling down to like a 1440p or 4K monitor, and still being able to get like over 60 frames per second. In my opinion, that is that just kind of helps me gauge how good a card is going to be long run. And I like doing that. I like doing that. I definitely like doing that. The 4080 passed with flying colors. I can honestly say that this card passed with flying colors. I was running some Horizon Zero Dawn on there. That one only lets me push to 5K, but in 5K I'm at 80 frames a second with DLSS in the quality mode. So that right there, I mean, you can, if you're on a 1440p monitor and you're super sampling down from 5K down to 1440p, the pixel density looks absolutely incredible. And the frame rate with DLSS enabled in the quality mode, that's pretty dang good. I'm actually pretty dang happy with that. So when you look at the overall, because I really did kind of feel like the 256-bit bus was going to, you know, kind of hamper the card when it gets to the higher resolutions. I did test, I also did test the new Horizon Forbidden West at 5K as well. And that one there is pretty much in line, you know, at a 60, at pretty close to a 60 FPS experience with quality mode and stuff. So if you set that down a little bit, you definitely probably be pushing over or above, you know, over 60 frames a second. But you also have the addition of frame generation on the newer games. So one of the things I really look forward when I'm recommending a GPU, especially a GPU that costs this much, is longevity. That is very important to me, and it's very important to a lot of people out there, especially when you're this close to like potential new cards coming out from both AMD and NVIDIA. You really have to weigh these decisions and get the best information you can. When you're shopping for a card and you're about to drop, you know, $1,100, you know, almost $1,200 on a GPU, you want peace of mind. And earlier on in my PC experience, I went with, you know, a 3080 10 gig, and I don't feel like that card really, you know, delivered on that high end, you know, 80 series from NVIDIA. So I was a little bit disappointed with that, but in hindsight, now that, you know, with everything that I've learned and everything that I've seen along the way, if I'm going to review GPUs, I want to find a way to do this in a way that is going to set me apart from everybody else. Now, I put a lot of emphasis on the overall experience when I am utilizing this technology. And with right now, with the NVIDIA side of things, you still have, you know, access to control panel, you still have access to GeForce now, but you also have access to a pretty minimalistic NVIDIA app. That's what they call it. That's what they're calling it right now, is the NVIDIA app, which kind of brings a little bit of those features to the forefront and makes it a little bit easier to get into. The overall app is a lot more snappy. Definitely get in there, find things. You've got, you don't need to sign into, you know, you don't need to log in with your email anymore to utilize that. The only thing you need to do that for is to like claim rewards and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. I know that's something that a lot of people have been talking about for a very long time, is getting that, you know, that overall, you know, not having to log in and some of the other stuff, you know, like the control panel is very, very slow. It doesn't matter how fast your PC is. Control panel is very slow and sluggish, and I'm glad to see NVIDIA taking steps to rectify that and to make that better and bring an overall better experience to the end user. Especially the newer people that are going to be coming to the PC and stuff. You want that user experience to be is plug and play as possible, with also being able to teach the people more things and help them be able to utilize the tech that they have on hand. Now, it's not quite as good as the AMD's Adrenalin software. That there's still, in my opinion, the gold standard when it comes to being able to deliver the user experience, but with more work, with more features coming to the NVIDIA app, I definitely think that it can easily be on par, and it could definitely help people understand and be able to utilize the power of their GeForce RTX GPUs. When it comes to the overall, gosh dang, build quality and, you know, overall experience that the 4080 Super has to offer, this is a big card. Like, this card is massive. It is, gosh, it's big. It's the biggest card I've ever seen. It's really thick, nice and wide. Like, this is a big card, so you're gonna need a bigger case. I'm using the H7 Flow from NZXT. I absolutely love this case. I think it's incredible. I think I might be upgrading to like the H9 or something though. I really like the way that case looks. The nice glass front, fans everywhere, RGB, all of that stuff. So you definitely want to have a bigger case if you're going to go with a 4080 Super. This card is pretty massive, but the overall power consumption doesn't seem to be that bad at all. It's like right around like 350 watts of power and stuff. And I mean, it gets the job done. It stays pretty quiet. I mean, as you can hear right now, it's not like super loud. It hasn't been super loud even when I'm gaming it at like 5K or 8K or using ray tracing or any of that. It's not that bad. It's actually pretty dang quiet. Now I want to talk about like the ray tracing performance of this freaking card, because this is a really big selling point for NVIDIA GPUs, and this is one of the things you get beat over the head with a lot when people are making their recommendations. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. This is the absolute best NVIDIA experience for ray tracing to date that I've had. And this is, like I said earlier, this is the highest level of NVIDIA GPU that I've ever bought. Now, this does deliver on the promise, or on the promise of path tracing, ray tracing, all of that stuff. But there's a caveat. You are going to have to utilize DLSS, and in some cases, in most cases with path tracing, you are going to have to utilize the frame generation. And here's the thing: if you cannot get to 60 frames a second before enabling frame generation, I'm on a controller, so you really can't feel the latency too much. Like, it feels, pretty decent. Like, it feels okay, so I'm not going to complain about it. But, you do see some discrepancies in like image flicker or image, shadowing, bouncing around, kind of things like that. Especially if you're trying to go for like really high settings or something. But if you knock your settings from ultra to high and you run that, it's usually pretty good. Don't really have any issues with that running at like high settings or anything like that. I've come away pretty impressed with the 4080 Super experience, and that kind of bothers me a little bit. It kind of bothers me that you have to spend that much money for a GPU to come away feeling okay with, the ray tracing performance, okay with the overall performance of rasterization, to come away feeling like, okay, this is finally the whole shebang. Like, I'm finally getting the full-on NVIDIA experience, and the only better level to this is a 4090. So when I can come into this review and tell you, like, yes, I finally feel like I'm getting the full-on NVIDIA experience. I'm getting to utilize the ray tracing. I'm getting to utilize, all of the other features that come with this. I'm going to be checking out, RTX HDR and all of these other features that are there during this month that I, because I'm going about a month with it, before putting back in the 7900 XT. I want to give them, at least a month, and then I'll kind of alternate in and out, and do a month on one, do a month on the other one. And then, once we get to the next generation cards, then we'll swap these out for those, and then we'll be on our way making more content again. So overall, I'm pretty impressed with the 4080 Super. I am. Can I recommend spending $1,200 for this card when there are options like a 7900 XT for $700, or when there are, options, for a 7900 XTX, maybe $100 cheaper or right at $1,000? That's really going to come down to the fact that, like, if you have the money to spend, the 4080 Super has the features for that money. If you don't want to spend that much and you want something a little bit cheaper that still delivers an awesome gaming experience, then yes, I absolutely recommend, giving the AMD cards a try. But go into it knowing that this card here will deliver on the ray tracing promise. This card here will deliver on the performance. This card will deliver on that promise that NVIDIA, you know, makes to you. And it is an okay purchase due to the fact that you do have frame generation technology on this, and the overall 4K experience for the 4080 Super is actually really good. Now, if you're thinking about this as a 1440p card, then I 100% can recommend this. Like, absolutely. If you're buying this for a 4K card, it's kind of like, ooh, I don't know, man. You might be able to get a little bit better bang for your buck and actually be able to do 4K and utilize all of this stuff, because, you know, the ray tracing and stuff, you're definitely right around the 1440p area, and you can obviously use like the DLSS and everything else to be able to get a 4K experience with all of that. But you do absolutely get an amazing 1440p experience, being able to utilize that with high frames. So I think that's probably why my whole mindset towards the 4080 Super has changed so much, because it 100% delivers an awesome 1440p experience where you get like all the bang for your buck with ray tracing and everything, and high frame rate, still pretty decent high frame rate. Whereas at 4K, it gets the job done. Like it gets the job done in most cases that I've tried, and I have like over 30 something ray tracing games that I've played on it. You know, I can max out the ray tracing if at 6K, or no, not 6K, 5K on Forza Motorsport, and still have about 70 frames per second, and, you know, a pretty stable experience. So that to me is actually pretty dang good. Like that's pretty exciting that I can run that, super sample it down to 1440p with all of the bells and whistles and still get over 60 frames per second. So that this is the if you're gonna pick a card for ray tracing, the 4080 Super is probably the best one. That way you get it and you don't pay $40.90 price for it, but then you also, you know, you're saving some money, but you're still getting a good enough ray tracing experience that I finally feel I'm not gonna say I feel it's worth your money, because like this is kind of expensive for that stuff that you should be getting. But if this is if that's important to you, this is probably the card you need. The 4070 Super was okay. It was definitely all right, but I feel like the 4070 Super was giving me the performance that this is giving me at 4K at 1440p. So I definitely would recommend this as like the 1440p ray tracing beast. This is that. If you need more than that for 4K, then obviously you've got your 4090 and the prices or whatever you're going to pay for that. But as it sits right now, I can definitely recommend a 4070 Super or 4080 Super. I think this card is awesome. It 100% delivers on that experience. For me, it gives me everything that I, you know, I was surprised. I did not think that this card was going to pass all of I didn't think this card was going to pass my ridiculous standards for NVIDIA. To be completely honest with you, man, I hold NVIDIA to a higher standard, and I didn't think this card was going to pass my ridiculous expectations for this card, and it has actually exceeded them in some ways. Do I feel like it's worth the $1,200? I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it is what it is. If you have the opportunity and you have the ability and the means to be able to do that, absolutely pick it up, treat yourself, have some fun. If not, there are definitely some things on the AMD cards that I personally think are better. I feel like the AMD Adrenalin software is better. I feel like the you know, having fluid motion frames, all of that stuff is definitely worth your interest. But if you're into the NVIDIA and ray tracing, all of that, this is the card for you. This is the card for you. It's got the Frog Boy stamp of approval. So if you guys like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. I will have some more video footage out for you guys, showing you guys the testing at 8K and all of that stuff. we'll put some of that out there. I would have put some throughout this video, but you know, guys, I just wanted to sit here, talk to you, and kind of just focus on that without having to worry about, you know, trying to remember all of the footage and stuff like that. I'm working on a way to do that and start putting that stuff in there, but I just wanted you guys to know. I mean, I feel good about this card. I think this one is actually a pretty dang good NVIDIA GPU. So, all right, my friends, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.